So you know those like reptile kits you can find at all of our favorite stores like Petco and Petsmart? They're usually like reptile basic starter kits that come with different things to really get you started with keeping your animal. Well, a lot of you ask if those are actually worth the money and if they actually come with the right supplies for your animal. So we're going to be looking at those today. Someone actually just asked me about this again today, so thanks whoever you were to give me this idea. But I've got, I think, 4 pulled up today that we can look at to really just decide if these are actually worth the money and if these come with the right supplies for you. Also, I'm recording with 3 microphones. You can see 2 of them. I'm comparing all the audio, so just ignore the fact that I have more than 1 in shot. But the first one we've got here is a Zilla Starter Kit 10 gallon with light and heat. This is the tropical one. You can see it's a 10 gallon, and don't be deceived, it does not come with all the things in this image. It actually only comes with the enclosure, the clamps, the heat mat, the reptile carpet, 1 lamp, and 1 bulb. It does not include any of those accessories inside the enclosure in that little back picture back there. So we've got some basic stuff. Is it actually worth the money? We can go over that first. Well, this enclosure, wait, that's not even a latch enclosure. I would say you can get that enclosure for about $15 to $20 with the top and thing itself, probably about $20 on average. I've never heard of the Zilla heat mats really, I've never used them. That carpet is like $6, lamp is like $5, dome is like $10. So I guess it's not a terrible deal. But the problem is, just look at the animals on the front. We've got a crested gecko, a red-eyed tree frog, and I guess some sort of milk snake. All 3 of these animals would do terribly in this enclosure. It's very unclear what it's actually for. That's a big pet peeve of mine with lots of big companies. They always put these animals on the front where they make you assume that it'll work for that when it really won't. I've never even owned a crested gecko, but I know enough of the basic care to know that this is a really poor setup for them. They need something much more vertical than this 10 gallon long, well I guess it's just 10 gallon, not 10 gallon long, but you do want something taller than wider. They're never gonna touch that heat mat. It's gonna be pretty difficult to get humidity up with that reptile carpet. I guess it's possible though. And that bulb is not gonna work because they definitely need UVB. So that's not gonna be too great. Kind of same deal with tree frog. They're gonna want some UVB. They're not gonna have use for that heat mat. And then the one thing that can use that heat mat, the milk snake in that image, can't use that substrate because milk snakes do need to burrow in their substrate. And again, it doesn't even come with that water bowl, those decorations, or that hide. Also, a very important note is there's no thermostat with this. Zilla even makes thermostats. I don't know why they couldn't throw one of their own thermostats in there. I don't know how hot that heat mat gets, but certain heat mats do get really hot and can very easily burn your animals, even if you have some sort of substrate, because they can push it out of the way. The carpet is a bit different, so I'm guessing it just doesn't get very hot. But very weird enclosure. This is not one I would buy. The one thing I can see this working for is like a leopard gecko maybe. I'm sure there's some other like types of small lizards, like maybe a very young bearded dragon, but that would need some updates very quickly. Even though bearded dragons definitely need UVB and an additional lamp also, because they're gonna need that basking and that UVB. Okay, actually right here, there's a desert one for $63. Oh, well you can see right here, there's a fat-tailed gecko, leopard gecko, and I guess that's a California king snake. So this seems like something a bit more ideal. Still, I don't think I would buy this. You can see it comes with a night lamp. If you know me, I hate night lamps. They're just a waste of money, and they're really doing more damage than good for your animals because they can see those lights just fine. However, I can see getting this for a leopard gecko. Is it a good deal? You could probably guess, wait, hold on. There's no heat mat with this. Never mind, you can't use this for a leopard gecko either, because leopard geckos definitely need that heat mat. What are these enclosures? Who thought? I'm so confused. So all 3 animals on this box would definitely need a heat mat, which is not in the pack. Why is this the same price? There's less. Or, well, it has that extra bulb you're never gonna use. Okay, I'm gonna scrap both of these. I guess I'll link them in the description. It'll be an affiliate link, so if you do wanna buy it, like it's quality stuff, it's quality products, but they just don't seem to really, I'm trying to think of animals that could actually match up with each of those things. I don't know if there really is, but I will link these in the description anyway, if you do want them. Okay, let's hop on over to Petsmart with their Reptile Habitat by ZooMed. So this looks like a nice enclosure. Is this a lashing enclosure? Yes. Yes? Maybe? Yes. No? Yeah? This one's $180. You've got the enclosure itself. You've got aspen shavings, which is a good substrate for some animals. You've got the heat mat, and you've got some decor. You've got a Reptile water conditioner, that's good. You've got a hide, you've got a dome, and it comes with UVB, along with heat mats. Okay, this one's looking better. This is a 12 by 12 by 30, which is a 20, oh yeah, so it's right there, 20-gallon long enclosure. So size-wise, this could be good for certain types of colubrids, possibly ball pythons, maybe males, but you might want to end up upgrading them to like a 40 or something. However, I would not use that substrate for a ball python. Of course, you could very easily swap some different things out. So this one looks a lot better than that first Zilla one we looked at. Oh, we got a video. Ooh. So from that lovely Petsmart video, we can see that it is a latching enclosure, so that's good. Those are usually worth more money because it isn't just those clamps. Why can I not rewind? Well, you can see that's a very large heat mat. And if we go back to the image, go back. Petsmart, why is your site so garbage? Go back, go back. 7.5 million lives saved. Probably like 30 million lost. Anyway, getting sidetracked. So going back to this enclosure, there is no thermostat. Again, that heat mat gets pretty hot. I have a couple of those. I'm guessing they didn't put one in because ZooMed, I don't believe, makes a thermostat. And I'm sure they wouldn't want to go and buy a bunch of Zilla thermostats or some other company to stick in their thing. So it's like, it's very unclear as to what this is actually made for. I think pretty much every animal would need some things slightly changed in this one, and this is pretty pricey. So if this were me, I would not buy this one either, because you would end up having to invest more into certain things. So basically, it seems like it's going to be hard to find a kit that actually fits your exact needs, because each animal does need such different things in different size enclosures, and maybe like this animal will be better with a smaller hide with like this substrate. But I can see how making these kits can be really good for the companies, because it's just a really basic thing. It might not be perfect, but it can give you a general idea of what they actually need. So I do think that this one is pretty nice. $180 though, I wouldn't spend that much on this stuff. Going with a cheaper enclosure, even though this is a really nice enclosure, like you can see, it's very professionally done. It does have that latching top, and it is a 20-gallon long that will work really well for your animal. It's still not that ideal for most things, in my opinion. So right here we've got the Zilla 20-gallon snake kit. This is actually the only kit that I bought. This was the very first reptile thing, or the very first thing I bought for my very first snake. That was Sunny when he was a baby. Now, if I knew what I know now then, I would not have bought this because there are some flaws with it, and it would kind of just be a waste of money to buy this. Now, this one actually does come with all the stuff on the cover other than the corn snake. Unlike the first Zilla one we looked at where they have some random things stuck in the thing, in the actual enclosure itself back there that it doesn't come with. But this does come with the water bowl, the hide, the 2 domes, the 2 bulbs, the actual enclosure, and the substrate. Now, there are some big problems with this. The first being there's no heat mat. Corn snake is really going to benefit from a heat mat. Some people get by without them, but it's really going to help them feel nicer because they're not really an animal that basks very much. Yes, they do sometimes, but it's not their usual thing that they're going to do. Again, this one has one of those night bulbs, which again, I'm not a fan of. I don't suggest using the night bulbs. That's kind of just a waste. And I had to throw both of these heat lamps away because they just stopped working. It was just normal use, like occasionally turning it on and off, but both of those switches broke on both of the lamps. They completely stopped working and I had to throw them away. So that was kind of a waste of money. That water bowl in there, it was my fault. It broke because I dropped it, but it was like that far off the table. I just like barely slipped out of my hands and it completely shattered. It's not a big deal. It was a fine water bowl. But the issue is the things in this are very small, and that kind of brings us back to things not being perfectly perfect for certain animals. For example, a corn snake, like that little corn snake they have in that image. Wait, I'm confused. Does this come with the bark or the lizard litter? Okay, let's just wrap it up here. We've got these 4 kits that we looked at. There are some more kits. These are the most popular ones I hear of. But basically, they seem like really good ways to kind of get business because that's their goal. And it makes sense. Like I said, they're not perfect for certain animals. You might have to swap certain things out. You might need to buy extra things, maybe not use certain things. Like some animals might not use this heat mat, or in the first one, while others do need the other heat mat. So they're basically imperfect, but it's a good way to sell some nice products. Because it is just everything nice and compact, if you don't know everything perfectly, then it looks really appealing, which I agree. They do look really nice, and the enclosures in them are definitely very premium enclosures, I guess you could say, with those latching tops. So should you buy these? Well, completely up to you, of course. I have linked some of these in the description. But at this time, I find that it's much easier to just really go out and buy each thing individually. So maybe you don't want to have to go and find each individual thing. I do want to say that this is a good way to kind of get everything at once, but it's not, since some don't come with certain things. So yeah, is it worth the money? Probably not. But if it seems like it'll work out for your animal and for your species, then maybe it is worth it. So just make sure you really look at it, specifically for your individual animal that you're looking at. Like I said, do not go off the packaging. This is a thing I notice a lot with these, like lots of different products. I don't know, let's go Reptisand. Like this is a sand I use for my leopard gecko and quickly removed because of the risk of impaction. Don't use sand with reptiles, but you can see on the cover there's a leopard gecko. It's kind of small, I can't tell what that is. Some sort of python, a retic, I think, a bearded dragon, and a soft-shelled turtle. Basically, don't go off the packaging for the animal, just like how we were just looking at this and it had those weird animals on the front. But if you really do your research and you think all these things will work out, then maybe it's worth it for you. But those are my opinions on that. Hopefully that can help you out when making the enclosure for your animal. But that'll be it for this video. So I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.